Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our open mic program. We do have Congressman French Hill with us. And Congressman, it seems like you and I have got to talk a lot in the past few weeks, but I do appreciate you taking time and talking with us.
You bet, Bob, and I appreciate you bringing information to our families as we try to figure out how to fight this virus and also start to think about getting back to work now.
Unprecedented times, as we've talked together off mic and on mic, and it's some things that we're looking at. But one thing that really I am so proud to know that the PPP program, the Payroll Protection Plan, is got more money. So there's some that felt like they went to the spigot and it was shut off by the time they got there. Explain what those people need to do now.
Well, on Monday of this week, the SBA reopened the Paycheck Protection Program to all of our banks. We have $310 billion now for that program, and there were about 21,000 applications in Arkansas for about $1 billion that had already been applied. They ran out a couple of weeks ago due to Pelosi dragging her feet on getting it replenished. So that opened up yesterday, Monday, and banks are finding the same challenges they had previously, which is the SBA computer system is slow, it's frustrating, but they're back at work here in Arkansas processing those applications.
So people need to, if they haven't done the paperwork, do so. It's very easy.
Exactly. If someone has not filled out an application, sole proprietor, a self-employed person, someone who owns a small business with fewer than 500 employees, this program is for paying salaries to keep people on payroll. If you do that, the money is forgiven. It turns into a grant. So if you haven't talked to your local banker about it, I would recommend people do that.
In November, it shows it's going to have to be paid back, but some say that they will forgive some of that of loan for some of those businesses. How will a person know how that's all going to come about?
Well, the loan is meant to be 75% for payroll, including the owner of the business's pay. And if they keep that ratio 75% payroll, 25% other expenses like rent or utilities, then the loan should be forgiven over the next few months, and the business can apply for that forgiveness, and the SBA will pay the bank loan off. If there's any amount that goes beyond that, then the bank can keep that loan on their books for up to 10 years, and it'll maintain the SBA guarantee, so the borrower doesn't have to put up any collateral or sign for the loan personally. I mean, the goal of most businesses is to structure this PPP loan so that it will be forgiven sometime this summer, after the 8-week period and after the economy is more open. So that's what most businesses are going into these loans with the plan. However, if there is any amount left over that's not forgiven, you have up to 10 years to pay it, and the bank can work with the borrower on that. And the bank also still keeps that SBA, the Small Business Administration loan guarantee, on that amount.
Another thing that we're seeing, some people feel like they're ready to get back to work. We're seeing some protests and things of that nature. And I try to share to be for those that don't understand it. I mean, those that work for a government or have a guaranteed paycheck, they don't understand what it means when their spigot has been shut off and they have no income. Then the panic sets up. How are we going to supply food for their family, protection for their family? So now we're seeing this becoming more of a, hey, we got to get back to work. And I know that the president has asked you to serve on the commission for opening up the government, opening up America. And that's why we need to be talking about this on the air and share with people that there is a process that they're going about to get this done.
Well, the president, with health advice, has presented best practices for phasing opening businesses. And Governor Hutchinson, our governor here in Arkansas, is taking those to heart and is working on his plan to get our businesses back open during May that have been closed over the last month. He wants to do that prudently, obviously, but I think Americans are filled with common sense, and if you just tell us the rules, we'll follow them. And we're not interested in getting sick, and we're not interested in endangering our families, but we also know that we need to get back to earning a living, get back to serving customers, and get back to our devoted occupations that we have. We can do this, in my opinion, and comply with CDC standards. People just have to know that and have the confidence to do it.
What's some of the things that you see that will be coming about when we start opening the economy? Give us like a word picture, what you will see it'll happen at some of these stores and restaurants.
I think you'll see social distancing on crowds. You'll see the 6-foot tape line before the cash register. You may see plexiglass hanging from the ceiling by the cash register just to give you some separation between the person waiting on the customer and the customer. You'll see cleaning operations more frequent, retail locations and restaurants. You'll see tables in restaurants a little further apart maybe. And people are going to get creative because they want their customers back. They want to serve them, and they want to do that in a safe and appropriate way.
And then what do you think that the timetable will be? Do you think there'll be hot spots in America will not be opening up? But like Arkansas has hit the curve and done everything that the governor was kind of predicting.
I think the governor, again, has been prudent. He's taken a middle course here, which I think it will make it a little easier to open here in Arkansas. It won't be such a shock, and people will do that gradually. I think the governor would like to start that here the first week of May, and then just gradually do that, watching the statistics and watching the process along the way.
Now, French, people have been talking all over Arkansas. The gas prices have gone down to record lows. Unfortunately, we can't go anywhere right now, but kind of address this. What's happening with OPEC and the oil prices?
Well, President Trump was successful in talking to Russia and Saudi Arabia and urging them to stop fighting with each other. They've agreed to take a significant amount of oil production off the market. But as you say, people aren't driving. They're not flying in an airplane. And so there's a lot of surplus oil out there in the economy. That surplus has driven prices down. And until we get our economy back, I suspect we'll have low gas prices for several months to come. So it's a good opportunity that once the economy's back and the family feels like they've got their job stability and they might want to take a trip with their kids, they're going to be having a summer of, in my opinion, low gas prices.
Now, someone said, ask you this question. I thought it was kind of unique. Nobody's flying. I know no one that's moving anywhere, and you're one of the few frequent flyers. Explain what's happening on airplanes.
You bet. I was on Delta. I went to Washington last week to vote, came back. There were 71 people on my flight coming to Atlanta from Washington. That's the most I've seen. People were not next to each other. They were separated, so no one was seated next to another person. And most people had on masks. Most people were extra cautious about wiping down their seat and seat table with a Clorox cleanup or something like that, although the airplanes do that for you already. They're very clean. Delta handed everyone out a little bag with Delta cookies and a bottle of water and some chips for you and a little Purell packet. So I thought that was nice because they don't do the cart service during this desire to have less contact with passengers.
So it's a total different experience. You haven't ever felt this kind of experience ever on your trips going to D.C., have you?
No, for the 5 years I've represented our beautiful Central Arkansas in Congress, I have to tell you, I've never been on a flight that wasn't jam-packed from stem to stern. So to get on an airplane with 10 people on it or even 70 people on it is a very different experience.
Well, Congressman, we appreciate you taking time and talking with us, keeping us updated what's coming, and we're going to keep America rolling.
Stay healthy and let's get back to work in the right way. Thank you, Bob.